You see, my job isn't to put him in jail. My job is to keep his clients out of jail.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. Chalk it up to another victory for the Nothing Ever Happens crew. Diddy all but acquitted on pretty much every charge brought against him by the feds, led, of course, by James Comey's daughter. We'll get to that in a second. Diddy Combs' verdict: mogul acquitted on sex trafficking charges, convicted on prosecution counts, will most likely walk free. The prosecution was destroyed today. There's no other way to say it. The feds brought 5 charges against Diddy, including sex trafficking and racketeering, of which he was found innocent on and can never be charged again. Ladies and gentlemen, the lower charges Diddy was found guilty on, but there's a chance that he may well just get like 6 months and be able to walk forever. There's a chance that the judge will let him free today. Hip-hop icon Sean Combs dramatically dropped to the floor with his hands on his knees, stunningly acquitted on Wednesday of racketeering and sex charges, most serious raps that he faced, for forcing former lovers to live out degrading sexual fantasies. The rapper, better known by Diddy, is found guilty on lesser prostitution charges. Combs, 55, faced a potential life sentence if convicted of the top charge in the sensational Manhattan trial. But now he's just going to be able to pretty much romp and will be able to walk. But the jury convicted him on only prostitution charges stemming from shipping escorts across state lines, which could send him to prison for 20 years. 50 Cent congratulates Diddy for a not guilty verdict, calling him the gay John Gotti. Diddy beat the feds. That boy, a bad man, beat the Rico. He's the gay John Gotti, said 50 Cent, along with a photo of himself with a huge smile on his face. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the courtroom was smiling. It'll make your stomach turn when you hear about Diddy now hamming it up. Look at this, inside of the court, doing a little love triangle with his hands. Maureen Comey fixed another one. Deep state blackmail operation saved, just like Epstein. Diddy walks on appeal. Sean Diddy Combs was acquitted of the most serious charges, was found guilty of 2 lesser charges. Some observers are asking if the prosecutor, Maureen Comey, daughter of James Comey, sabotaged her own case. She was the prosecutor, of course, for Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, who managed not to name a single name that Jeffrey Epstein trafficked underage girls to. And this is the sticking point that I want to discuss. So if Diddy is guilty of prostitution, if there are all these sex trafficking and RICO charges, where are your other charges? If Jeffrey Epstein is the single most prolific pederast on earth, where are your other charges? Like, here's the example. A drug dealer is convicted of dealing drugs. But also the people he's dealing drugs to, they're using the drugs and buying the drugs. So those are charges as well. You're not allowed to do any of it. It's all legal. But they're only ever going after, like, the Epsteins. Well, who was Epstein trafficking to? Yeah, we obviously know Prince Andrew. You know, of course, Prince Andrew's main accuser. She just wound up dead mysteriously out in the dark of night after being hit by a school bus. Her name's Virginia Roberts, by the way. We never hear anything about the clients. We never hear anything about the users. We never hear anything about the people who were invited to Diddy's parties who did these things, who were on these tapes. Nope. Just carefully crafted, secured, and packaged. And now that nuclear bomb has been diffused, and maybe Diddy will do a couple of months in prison, maybe not. Meet Maureen Comey, daughter of deep state trader James Comey. She's the U.S. Assistant Attorney, and she was involved in Trump-Russiagate scandals, Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein cases. Deep state fixed her, and now she's fixing the Diddy case. It does beg the question, right? Why? Why keep James Comey's kid around? Diddy found not guilty. Who was the prosecutor again? Oh, yeah, James Comey's daughter, the person who absolved Hillary Clinton and all of her mysterious evils just all went away. Remember that in 2016? Hillary Clinton laptop emails? Remember what was in those emails? Yeah. It all has connections. It has connections to all this. Now it's all gone. Poof. Should have been fired and not assigned to anything Everybody is blaming Maureen Comey. I mean, and let me just establish something. We know a ton of federal prosecutors, right? So in this business, they're on the show. They're friends of us. We communicate with them. They give us good reporting, good sources. They're these federal prosecutors, okay? Some of our closest friends are federal prosecutors. I am texting with a number of them right now, and they're just talking about what a humiliation this all is for the feds. That the feds only bring cases like this. They bring cases like this when they know that someone's guilty and that they have all the evidence, and they don't want to humiliate the federal government. The more cases the federal government loses, especially high-profile cases, the less credibility they have. So when the Fed bring a case, and they're, of course, spending our money on these cases, it's the federal government's funded by us, the good faith and will of the American taxpayer. Well, they better not be squandering our money in cases that humiliate the lawyers that we're paying to keep all of us safe. And that's what happened today. It's just a complete and total humiliation. Comey's going to write a book now about how his daughter botched the Diddy trial. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Yeah. This is what everybody's saying on the internet. What did some of our guests say this morning? You know, we found out this news breaking on the morning live stream. And so we had Liz Croken on. We had a rapper who also knows Diddy and is suing Diddy. And then we had Alan Dershowitz, the foremost, probably most famous defense attorney in American history, on right now. And all of them had very interesting takes on all of this. Ladies and gentlemen, please listen to the experts. This is our black pill to take away. Maybe they're not done yet. We'll see. Here we go. So how would you have charged this if you were the feds? And we are starting to notice a little bit of a trend here with Maureen Comey and the way that the Southern District of New York are bringing these cases. It seems to be a constant trend of skating or of lighter sentences. And people get very frustrated about this. And it's leading to a little bit of an erosion within at least our audience, Alan, when it comes to how the law is adjudicated. It seems like if you're rich and powerful, if you're famous, or if you serve the Democrat Party, that you get to skate, and if you're somebody else, then you go down in flames.
Well, there's no doubt that wealth has a big contributing factor in getting acquittals. I do half of my cases pro bono because I try very hard to create equality, and I've been very successful in my appellate practice getting convictions reversed. Part of the reason I've been successful is that the government overcharges. This should have been a state case. He should have been charged with beating up his girlfriend, as we all saw in the videotape, with the cases in which there was, if there were any, non-consensual sex. But to try to broaden this into a kind of national, international criminal enterprise and conspiracy was undercut by the videotapes and the emails by the women saying, please, I want to be involved in this freak out. I want to, please include me. I'll help set it up. Just give me a part, give me a role. And I think we've seen that in the Harvey Weinstein case. We've seen that in this case. Some juries will agree, some juries will disagree. That's the nature of our jury system. It's everybody off the street deciding what they think is right and what they think is wrong. He was acquitted on the RICO charge, and one of the jurors said he didn't understand it. I've been teaching criminal law for 62 years. I didn't understand the charge on the RICO case. It's very complicated. And so, this is a split verdict, and nobody is going to be happy with a split verdict. But I think the end result is that Combs will probably go free now with an ankle bracelet and $1 million bail, and may well get his entire conviction reversed on appeal, though that's not absolutely certain.
Alan, we know a number of federal prosecutors, they're regulars on this program, and they are humiliated right now as we're texting them. This is an embarrassment for the federal government, is it not?
It is. And I think there are many embarrassments for the federal government. What they've done is, because they win so many of their cases, because of what I call the trial penalty. You know what happens when a person is indicted, an ordinary person. The government comes and says, look, if you plead guilty, you'll get 6 months in prison. But if you plead not guilty, you'll get 16 years. And so they plead guilty. And if they don't, they get this enormously higher penalty. That's why the Southern District of New York and the Eastern District have 92, 94% conviction rates, because most people plead guilty because they're terrified of the trial penalty. We have to change that. We have to create a system where if you go to trial and lose, you get the same penalty as if you pleaded guilty, or maybe a little bit more, but not a multiple of fivefold or tenfold. So I think the government is getting its comeuppance a little bit, because juries are feeling a little bit more like they have the power under the Constitution, and they do, to decide whether the government is overreached. Government overreaching is the greatest danger that any liberal democracy faces.
What about this allegation that he's the Epstein of the music industry? Have you seen anything like that? I mean, obviously, we've heard some of the testimony. He's been found guilty, of course, of prostitution, violations of what's called the Mann Act. But maybe you could detail like what you've witnessed, and maybe what more charges the federal government could bring here. Because Little Rod, most people are like, wow, he's probably going to go free here. That's what Dershowitz just said.
Yeah, I doubt if he's going to go totally free. But in the same token, this is not a surprise to me. I mean, we've seen him do just poof, make anything just disappear that happens. You know what I'm saying? But this guy has been, again, he's been allegedly a foreman for over 30 years. And he's gotten away with a lot of things. He's got power. You know what I'm saying? He's got a lot of money, and he's been doing this. God knows who he knows. If you look at it, the prosecutors had attorneys, but he had 2 attorneys per their 1 attorney. So, for example, they had 5 attorneys, he had 10. You know what I'm saying? And if you look in that courtroom, a lot of the attorneys that he had represented some of the biggest mob gangsters, or you know what I'm saying, etc. I'm told one of the attorneys represented Trump. You know what I'm saying? Not only that, Mark Garagos, who's I personally seen, I was there the first 2 days of the court. I seen him run into and talk to Puff's attorneys, then run right outside and talk to TMZ, which was helping to shape the narrative to the public inside the courtroom. So it's so many things that I was seeing happening that was just like nobody else can do. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the jurors were tampered with, and we just don't know about it. You know what I'm saying? So again, I'm still processing everything that has happened, is happening, and it's going to happen. We all don't know, but what we do know is he is a 2-time convicted felony, and he's a sex offender.
So you're saying that based on your knowledge of how Diddy operates, and you said that he threatened your children and yourself, that he may have gotten to the jury and may have tampered with the jury.
It's a high possibility. It's a high possibility. This one of the investigators called my kid mother, and my 8-year-old at the time picked up the phone, and he was talking to my 8-year-old. However, he was also trying to coerce my baby mother into turning against myself. So I'm saying firsthand, I've experienced on how this guy gets very, very dirty.
Leave it to Liz Croken to come on here and historically white pill on this program, and I appreciate it. I really do.
Yeah.
You clearly follow these cases and these trials closer than any single individual, and I have to admit that we weren't there in the court every single day, right? We weren't reading through every single transcript, and I'm just looking sort of, Liz, at this like 35,000 foot perspective on what a normie is going to say, and they're going to say another powerful Democrat who subserves the deep state gets off from real punishment once more, right? Here we go. Once again, we have the same thing, and he's going to skate. Dersh is saying that he may well walk free and may never do any real hard time in jail. Do you agree with that?
Well, I mean, for now, that's a possibility. He is facing up to 20 years in prison for the 2 charges that he was found guilty on. It's being reported that, he he can only get 6 to 12 months because he's a first-time offender. But again, let's say worst case scenario, he gets some light sentence and he's out soon. I am very confident that he will be facing more criminal charges. And again, these civil suits, some of these may go to court as well. And there's more. There was just another new case that was filed yesterday against Diddy, right? And so there's a potential that more criminal charges will come from these civil suits. So in a worst case scenario, he gets a light sentence. It ain't over. This is going on for a very, very long time. And this is just the beginning. And the other thing that I will mention that is, in my point of view, is a huge positive from this case. It is very unfortunate it wasn't on television. But with that being said, this trial has exposed and put a huge spotlight on so many names. And the one name that I would bring up right now that I think is really important to mention would be Barack Obama. His name was dragged into this trial, right? I know that Barack Obama is involved in many crimes, including sex trafficking. The fact that Barack Obama's name was brought into this trial and a spotlight was put on him is a huge deal. There was that one sex worker, Jonathan Odie, the one that shot up that Trump hotel. So this happened in, I think, in the first week of the trial. The one that shot up Trump hotel years ago, the one in Miami. And in his police interrogation interview, he said that he was basically a sex slave for Diddy. And he said that he had to attend these yeah, there he is. You guys are good. He said that he had to attend, these freak off parties, and they go for days. Like, I think Cassie testified that they'd go up for 4 days straight, right? So he would overhear Diddy and all these different conversations with, his elite pals. And he said that these people are planning to assassinate President Trump. And he also said that they're engaged in pedophilia, they're engaged in satanic rituals, they're part of like some kind of Illuminati club. And at the time, everyone thought he was crazy, everyone thought he was wacko. Well, what ended up happening in court? He was identified as one of Diddy's actual sex workers. So if he was telling the truth about that, he was identified. They brought his picture in court and they're like, oh yeah, that was one of his sex workers. What else is he telling the truth about? Is he lying about all this other stuff with Obama? And he also mentioned Hillary Clinton, or is he telling the truth about that too? Because he said this before they did attempt to assassinate President Trump.
Yes, exactly.
Isn't that interesting?